Dr. Angood, tell us about your goals and objectives in that capacity as a senior advisor on patient safety at the National Quality Forum.
Sure. Well, the National Quality Forum has been around about a decade now. It has a mission of basically trying to set priorities and the agenda of priorities for healthcare in the country. It also is focused in on the endorsement of measurement and standards for healthcare, and then to also educate and publicly improve the awareness of safety at the National Quality Forum overall. The focus on patient safety is relatively new at the National Quality Forum, and we have some existing programs, the serious reportable events, the safe practices, but I was recruited in relatively recently to consolidate the programs, to make them work better together, and then to expand the overall patient safety portfolio at the National Quality Forum.
The safe practices, there are 34, correct?
There are 34 safe practices, yes.
And tell us about those. Are they well defined?
Yes, they are. The safe practices were one of the early programs put out by the National Quality Forum. There were originally about 30 of them, and they have now been expanded to 34. They have been originally published in 2003, updated in 2006, and then we just updated them a third time in 2009. And we've moved into an annual maintenance and update process because they are well defined. The evidence continues to improve and change around those practices, and we want to make sure that they are as contemporary as possible. And that also gives us the opportunity to consider from time to time whether or not we need to adjust the scope of the safe practices, remove some, add some, and consolidate as needed. But it's a very well-defined program overall.
What conclusions do you come to, whether consolidation or expanding? What have you drawn out of that as you've looked at the data?
Yeah, in terms of the evolution of the safe practices, what we find is that as it shifts on a every 3-year basis, what gets put into the spotlight or a profile as a result of the safe practices, oftentimes organizations will then focus their activities on that topic area of that safe practice, and then that activity winds up being improved and refined at the organization's levels. And so as though the awareness that we get through the literature and just through our feedback, through the different mechanisms we have, that allows us to then evolve the safe practices and make adjustments for where the priorities are seeming to fall overall. So it's a fairly stable program, but we refine it and make those kinds of adjustments in order to keep nudging the healthcare field overall into better safety and improved quality.
Speaking of nudging the field, are there leadership roles for pharmacists to incorporate these safe practices and make sure day-to-day patient care is at an optimum?
Well, actually, that's a big nudge that the NQF has taken, and that is to bring in this new safe practice around encouraging pharmacy leaders to be involved in the leadership of organizations so that the medication management strategies overall are improved. Historically, the safe practices have focused mostly on medication management, some of the issues related to medication safety, the whole topic area of medication reconciliation, which is complicated. But this push to really bring the actual pharmacist and the role of pharmacists into the leadership has been a big nudge on our part.
If you're sitting at a table with a group of pharmacists and you're about to get up and it's before I go, I want to make sure you guys get this. What is that?
I think that in terms of patient safety overall, medication management is one of the biggest and most pivotal areas that healthcare needs to continue to focus on. It's a huge problem, continues to be a huge problem, has significant financial implications at the institutional level as well as at the country's level, and that one of the best ways for that improvement in medication management is for the pharmacists to get involved in the leadership strategies around medication management overall.
You're concentrated in D.C. There is some kind of impending national healthcare reform is coming. What are you hopeful it means with your area of concentration with patient safety? What could be the benefits or what could be the residuals of this?
Right. Well, the National Quality Forum, one of its activities that it does very well is to convene organizations together. It's well recognized as a neutral convening body, if you will. One of the focus groups is the wrong word actually, one of the collaborations that has been convened together is what's called the National Priorities Partnership. That's now 32 organizations strong, high-profile organization across all spectrums of the industry. And that organization has set 6 primary priorities for American healthcare: involvement of the patients and families, improved population health, improved patient safety, an improved care across the continuum of care, appropriate end-of-life care and hospice care, and then improved efficiency or decrease the waste in healthcare. Those 6 priority areas are all in the various bills that have been put forward in the reform process. And as near as we're following it so far, they remain in the current versions that are up for debate right now. So those priorities have been highly influential in the reform process so far. NQF's been right in there helping to guide that in the background. And the patient safety piece is going to be pivotal in all of the language of the different drafts that I've seen. Safety's there all of the time, and that's why I say medication safety is a big part of all of this, and that's why pharmacy needs to be involved overall.
Thank you, Dr. Angood.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.